is going on, Philly sports fans? It is Wednesday night. It is 8:30, and it's time for EoP. I'm Big Al.
And I'm Joey Sheeran.
And we are freaking excited to be here with you guys tonight. What a night to be a Philly fan. Not just a Phillies fan, but a Philly fan. Your two teams that are running right now are running hot, right into Red October to be exact. This Phillies team you're watching right now, not the same lineup you're used to seeing if you're watching it right this second. But last night, big night for Phillies. They clinched that top wild card spot.
What a picture.
Big time. Early on, didn't take the last 2 or 3 games of the year. Didn't have to chew our nails down to the bone. It is, Joe, they're locked in. I'm locked in. I know for shit sure. Yeah, I said it. Drop a dollar in the bucket. You're locked in.
Oh, man, I'm on cloud 9.
It is awesome. And I was in the middle of doing something last night, and I'm keeping my eye. I got yelled at like 30 times for not paying attention, but I'm okay with that because that was awesome. That's what it's about. That's 162 games, and I had somebody today tell me that the celebration is too much. Joe, they told me it was too much that they do it every step.
Right.
I say bullshit to that, my friend. Again, another dollar. I'm sorry.
That's okay,
I'm
man.
off of it.
That's okay, Al. It's time to get rowdy.
It is. It is time.
It's time.
I mean,
for Red October.
We do the Fightings final here. Cover all 162 games. It's what we all live for, man. We all live for this. We cover.
Yes.
We're doing the talking. We're writing articles. We're doing things. We watch every game. I mean, we might not be playing the game, but we are part of every game. There's not a game we miss. Maybe not every game you have 100% attention on, but you are paying attention every game. And that's what it's all. That's why you celebrate that way. I'm okay with it. As long as you don't you're not okay. That's all you want.
I mean, if they were marching down, towards City Hall and eating like horse dung again, yeah, that's a line you don't want to, you don't even want to tiptoe towards or get even close to at this point. People being excited, being a little overhyped, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Absolutely. When was the last time that the Phillies did back-to-back postseason seasons? 2010, 2011, over a decade ago.
Yeah.
It's okay to be excited for your team.
Yeah.
You have a pulse. You still have blood pumping through you. You're from the city of Philadelphia or outside of it a little bit.
Yeah.
Be happy. Be joyous. Enjoy it. There's nothing wrong with being happy. There's nothing wrong. You don't have to be the typical Philadelphia fan that just looks for things to complain about. You getting upset about Phillies fans being happy about them clinching not only a playoff berth, but also just an hour or so later clinching the top spot. People getting upset by that, they are just people who like to complain and bitch and moan about things.
First comment in comes right from Dives. Are we good with Aaron Nola starting game 2 in the NLWCS?
Yeah.
I mean, listen, he had a heck of a game last night.
He did. He had a couple good outings, yeah.
Yeah, and the last night was a good game. Granted, it was against the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Sure.
So you take all that into consideration, but it's baseball. And a little bit means more to me in baseball than if, say, football, when a good team goes up against a really bad team and just wallops them. Because that's a game where you can, if you're just off a little bit that day, your whole game's off. So I take a lot of that into consideration. So first part, Dives, to answer your question, I have to be because I have no choice in the matter. But number 2 is, yeah. I mean, this is the time when guys can get like what Bryce Harper did last year, outside requiring Tommy John surgery, might I add, is remarkable. I mean, the man is everything you hope your superstar is.
He was injured down the stretch, needing Tommy John at the end of last season.
Yeah.
And then he finally gets it done, and then he comes back early.
And put on one of the most dramatic and clutch postseasons in Philly's history. Like throw it out there for what it is.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, they and that's the other thing about the celebration part of things. It was last year, Joe. You said it yourself. It was last year. We all could go back to those moments. JT's in the park home run, winning that first game in Houston. All those big moments. Reese Hoskins coming alive at the right time. The San Diego when they beat San Diego in that rainy kind of crummy day,
Bedlam at the bank game,
Bedlam at
baby.
the bank. That's right. And they it was just last year, and you know that this could lead to this moment.
100%.
Like that's my thing is that's why we celebrate. Michael R is jumping in here. It's up, boys. Go Phils, Eagles,
What's up,
and
Mike?
Penn State. Yeah, absolutely. Little Penn State. Um, biggest Orion Kirkering
Yeah.
fan right here, baby.
Yeah. He's
What a
pitching right
story.
now, man.
What a story, by the way.
By the way, oh my god, we're watching the other night, and every time they showed his father like crying, like Lex would start crying. She's like, "Oh my god, this is amazing,"
Mhm.
and it was really cool. Like I was smiling from ear to ear. It was a really cool moment. But let me just answer the Aaron Nola thing right now. I don't know if you guys were watching the post game or paying attention to it or just letting the suds flow. But Ricky Bo came upon something that like could have been looked at as super. This is what I'm talking about. His dad getting fired up,
Yeah.
which is awesome. But Ricky Bo came across maybe something that was a little bit superstitious. Was Aaron Nola had two really good past two outings, right?
Mhm.
He came out at 6 2/3 innings on both. And Ricky Bo's going, wait a minute, is this Rob Thompson and his little, juju is superstitious, getting him out at the right moment, getting into the bullpen? This might be, something to look forward to going into game two of the postseason. We
Yeah.
got to see how far he goes.
I mean, they talked very candidly about him. They talked to Tomper this morning. Like he said, he was back at the park at 6 a.m. and you know he probably was there like 2.
Sure.
So he probably was like on 3 hours sleep. So maybe he was a little punch drunk at that point. But he said like they're going to see what he does. There's no certain scenario they need to see him and see how he works out, but see how he does. And he may. I mean, think about it. You've been up here for a week and you might make it to the postseason.
Yeah, and supposedly the only reason he can be a part of a postseason roster is because he'd be taking Reese Hoskins' spot.
Oh,
So
really?
so we don't even
So that
know.
means there's all that possible Reese Hoskins talks right out the window.
Well, on top of that, there was the talk of if he were to return, when would it be? And probably the earliest is the World Series. But even at that point, why are you going to mess with the chemistry bringing in a cold Reese Hoskins, which
Not
is
just a
really,
cold.
really 50-50 as it is when he's healthy?
If he was healthy now to play a few games, even maybe DH a little bit, I would still think it's a little nuts.
Yeah,
But the World Series, no,
not a
bro.
chance.
No, bro. I'm sorry. I don't care if this team just goes cold as the ice. You don't do it.
So I know we got to talk about it.
Sure.
Why have they not released the times of these games yet?
I think two things. Number one is who they're playing, and time zones will make a difference. So, like, if the team's playing West Coast, East Coast, that kind of stuff.
Oh, you may have just answered the biggest question I have
Oh,
because
you're welcome.
I have, and I won't go too far into this because I know people don't have tickets yet or whatever, but I have tickets for game one and game three. And we're all sitting here like, well, what do we do about work? What do we do about childcare? What do we do if we have to end up selling the tickets? But you saying time zones really just helped me out because if it's Arizona, they're not going to play game one here at 1 o'clock and have it air at 10 o'clock on the West Coast. So it's going to be at least a 4 o'clock or primetime game.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge. That's absolutely huge. Because last year, and I looked it up because we were all questioning it today, game one in St. Louis was at 107.
Yeah.
So it's a crapshoot, but the fact that you just brought up the West Coast part of it
Mm-hmm.
really takes some weight off my shoulders right now.
Yeah. I mean, it would be huge. And I told you, Diamondbacks a team I want to see. What's going on, Austin? Yeah, no, I mean, that's exactly why. I mean, if they were like
Let's
somehow
go
like the Mets were
Diamondbacks.
like you were playing like an East Coast team like the Mets or Nationals or something that were close by, then there probably would be that earlier
But that's
game.
my thing is a division winner in the Brewers, is that a bigger sell than playing the number 3 wild card, or is it the number 1 wild card and number 2 wild card playing each other? Plus, the Phillies are a bigger name and bigger draw, in my opinion, anyway, than the Brewers. So which one do you
I think
think,
you
if it
answered
was on
that
the same
question.
coast, which one do you think would get the prime time?
If they were all the same time zone,
Right.
it
I'm still
would be
saying Phillies, right?
I think it doesn't even matter. I think it's just big market's going to get it.
Yeah.
New York team, Philly teams, they're going to go first. Chicago will probably be right
Wait,
underneath
you
it.
mean first in the day
No,
or the
like
prime
top spots.
the top draw? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I think you're gonna put the Phillies are a hot team. Like, and that's the thing is like it's. I don't want to equate it to this. It's gonna sound weird, but like a Dallas team, even if you hate them, people are tuning in to watch them.
yeah.
So like, if you don't like the Phillies, if you're a New York team, I mean, I can tell you this much from doing the Fighting Final
Has
last
Dallas had a 1 o'clock game yet? I mean, it always seems like their prime time or
game of the week for me last week.
yeah, it
That's for
was.
sure.
Hell yeah.
And we'll get to that in a moment. But yeah, no, I think it's the market, dude. I think the market dictates it a little bit. I think the time zones thing does too. Like if it was Arizona and the Mets, I mean not the Mets, I'm trying, and Washington, say
Yeah.
two not huge market teams. I think it would because of Arizona that's going to make them later. Personally, that's my
I
thought
mean,
process.
it's gotta be. Gotta be. Because even if it's 4 o'clock here, it's 1 o'clock there.
Yeah,
So, I mean, regardless, we're getting a late afternoon or primetime game.
absolutely. That's where I'm going with it. At least I think so. It would be. I mean, unless they just don't care about Arizona at all. I'm like, fine, you get a 10 a.m. game.
Right, yeah.
Like that's just how they do it. But real quick, guys. Speaking of these games, and tickets are already hard to get. And I know where we go to get our tickets, especially for these big moment games, and where Phillies fans go to get Phillies playoff tickets. You go to sherrystickets.com. You see it on the screen the whole time. I'm putting it up on the screen right now. EoP10 will save you 10% off. Use that promo code EoP10. Save 10% off. Go to sherrystickets.com. All the sports, concerts, theater, you name it, you got it. I just bought my dad Jeff Dunham tickets. He's a huge Jeff
Oh,
Dunham fan.
nice.
He's going there for his birthday, and his birthday was the other day, but he's coming in January. But I go there. Joe goes there. Use the best tickets. Joe goes to more concerts than anybody I know, and I know he used Sherry'sTickets.com. So check him out. Sherry'sTickets.com. EOP10 will save you 10% off. Use it often.
What's Dunham's tour name? Not canceled yet or something?
Yeah,
I
not
love it.
canceled yet.
That's pretty
I
funny.
actually find him funny. Like at first,
Yeah, I've seen some of his stuff.
yeah, it's actually pretty good. So I might even end up going with him depending on who he chooses.
Oh, I'm sure that's a good time.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I mean, again, somebody asked me the question that has been overdone, whatever it is with the celebration. Hell's to the no. Celebrate away as long as you can keep the focus. But my idea is if you can't keep the focus and when one celebration is going to throw you off tilt, then you're going to win that anyway.
Of course. Of course.
Bill,
And by the way, they celebrated like that after every series last
but
year.
all baseball does it too.
Of
It's not just
course.
them, but
You think
whatever.
it's the Phillies that only have the tarps up on the walls for the champagne spray and just the coolers and tubs full of beer and champagne? You think the Phillies are the only
Oh
ones
no.
who have that set up for when they clinch or win?
Think about it. You
I
have
mean,
to.
come on.
People also set that up for other teams. Like they have to have it set up for the Braves, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean that sucks.
But here, the best part about it is the Phillies won it at home.
Yeah.
They didn't wait until they're on the road in New York for the last series of last 1, 2, 3 games, like you mentioned. They did it right here in the good old city of Philadelphia.
Mike saying Milwaukee, Chicago will be earlier games. Midwest loves 1 p.m. games. I mean,
Works for me.
that's yeah. I don't care about them. But yeah, I mean, that's like that's what it's all about. I said 162 games. I mean, I understand football is a much more physical game in the sense people are getting hit all the time, but 17 games.
Oh yeah.
Basketball, hockey, 82 games. Like it is double that. And it is a marathon. I mean, think how much time you spend on baseball. You got preseason or spring training, whatever you want to call it, from April or March. I'm sorry, March,
Yeah.
like late February, March through April then the whole regular season. And then if you make a postseason run, it's up to October, early November. 3/4 of the year right there. It's a lot of time. Let's see. I am so. Mike, what's going on? I'm so happy. My Phillies are in the playoffs. I'm like, and my Phillies, like what? Yeah, my Phillies are in the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. For this town, for as emotionally attached we get to teams,
Yeah.
and how a good Phillies or Eagles or whatever win can make or break your next day, especially like a game that's 162 games, or
It's a
you can
lot of
go on.
baseball, man.
How many slides do we go and like? But the one thing I'm going to take away from this, and Joe, I mean, we talk about this a couple times now, is the going for like last year, like you and I, and especially you, were like they were this close to
100%.
not making it. Now look at Houston. Houston's kind of
I know.
teetering a little bit. Um, I don't know why, and this might just be like so I'm super excited right now, like just like I'm like 1,000 right now. Like I really think this team has a better chance than they did last year.
I've heard some comparisons like that as well. If you, I mean, I honestly, I looked at the standings today. I love 'em,
He's not a big
okay, all
he's
right,
not a big Tomper fan.
okay. Back-to-back playoff runs, possible back-to-back World Series runs, and we're still gonna bash the manager. I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, come on.
He's not
I
a
don't even
fan.
remember.
He's
I
not a
don't even remember what
fan.
the hell I was gonna say now.
Yeah.
I'm now fired up.
Yeah, Mike, you got the Joe. It's not easy to do, but you did it.
I
Good
don't even
job.
remember what I was gonna say.
Good job. But like I said, like now the question has been asked, and I want to talk about this game that's going on right now. It's tied 6-6, and it looked like one of those games that we're gonna get away from you because
Yeah, they were down
5-0.
They were down 5-0. Yeah.
The Phillies are now 88 and 69.
That's what I was going to say. I looked at the sorry, not to interrupt you. I looked at the standings today, and the Phillies are 19 games over 500. 19 games. And here we were, and to your point, what we were talking about last year, 2 5-game losing streaks in a row,
Yep.
one of them to the awful Cubs, and we're sitting here saying, should they even make it? Do they deserve it? Now here we are, all clinched up, 19 games over 500.
Beautiful. Joe, question to you. Do they make it to 90 wins? No problem. I had them.
Yeah, I think so.
Joe, you had them, I think, at 92.
I think I was at
wins.
92, yeah.
I had 91 because I wanted to do that one under you.
B-Man. Send it out, baby. Send it out. Woo!
He's already doing his postseason
Are
magic.
you kidding me?
Already doing his. I know we're not supposed to like whatever commentate the games, but if you're watching the Phillies right now, as I just literally said minutes ago, they are 6-6. They are now 7-6 in the lead because of Bryce Harper. So I want to.
So yes, I think they're going to make 90.
yeah, right. I mean, you have 5 games left. I would imagine, 2 against the Pirates, including tonight, and then 3 against the lowly Mets. I mean, I even like. Let me ask you a question. If you're the Mets right now, with all the bad luck you have, do you play like Lindor or Alonso or any of your big
I think
names?
if I'm Lindor or Alonso, I'm saying, why are you putting me in this lineup?
I mean, like, because look at what happened to their closer.
Alonso fell off too, man.
Yeah, but look at what happened to their closer.
Yeah.
Like, do you really, of all the bad luck the Mets have had this year, because
they shouldn't play him. Absolutely, they should not play
so
him.
that means I really think that they're gonna, do it. Yeah, Mike. I mean, it's just that, and we were just talking about how Bryce Harper, his clutch gene, like he has the winner mentality.
I don't even know why is he playing in this game.
That's what I want to get to. So, I refer to the hangover lineup.
Yeah.
Which, if anybody doesn't know, is because yes, they partied hardy last night. So you give a lot of the guys a rest. So your lineup tonight was leading off Bryson Stott, number 2 Sosa, Harper 3rd, Marsh 4th as your DH. Marsh,
who was at a PBR bar last night riding the bull,
just like Kyle did last year.
Exactly.
Pache in right field, Cave in left field, Rojas in center field, Castro at third base, and Stubbs with a big 3-run home run tonight. They put this game much closer. So that means no Turner, no Castellanos, no Bomer, no Romuto. And he's still out there. Like, that's Bryce.
I don't know why.
Bryce don't want to stop.
I know.
And I think Bryce knows it. Goes, it's almost like I think they prefer to be the wild card. Not that listen, they were trying to win. I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, they weren't trying to win. They were letting the Braves have it. I'm saying I think they almost preferred to have the wild card spot because they got to keep playing.
This is the way I look at it. The only other spot the Phillies could have had better than what they have right now is a division. And what did the Braves do? They went out there and they're 44 games over 500.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So the fact that the Phillies are the number 1 wild card, I am thrilled about. Absolutely thrilled about, because I know and I can finally admit how much of a juggernaut the Braves have been this season. And the Phillies have a better record playing in Atlanta than they do playing in Philadelphia against those Braves.
Yeah.
The Phillies can play with these guys. They're just as elite. If the Phillies got off to a good start the first 2 months of the season, they would have been fighting for that division.
Sure.
There's no, I mean, I think, I think it's still
I mean,
44 games over 500.
I mean, give the hey, listen, and I hate doing this because I hate the Braves, but give the Braves credit. They cruised.
Absolutely.
They never let up. They didn't have any, like I said. Oh well, the Phillies could do some catching up if the Braves go on a little bit of a 5-6 game losing
Right.
streak, and they don't. I mean, we pounded our chest at how well again this team played in June into July, and they were like they are like the second best in everything in Major League Baseball for that whole month of June. But who was the first? You know, it was
Right.
the Braves. I mean, it was always the Braves.
Right.
And give them their due, but and I know he was at least he
I mean,
was
it's got to be the best record in baseball, right?
by far. Yeah.
Right. So that's
I
again.
mean, remember how
To my point.
remember how hot the Rays started off, and everybody
Right.
thought they were
Right.
going
Right.
to 150 win team or
But
something.
right. But that's just to my point. Like the only other team that is above the Phillies to where they could have ended in the standings is the hottest team in baseball all season. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't be mad about that.
I mean,
Celebrate.
101 and 56. You can't really, if they were to lose the rest of their games right now, it'd be 101 and 60.
Right.
It's still what an amazing feat. But with that being said, and because I know the man was listening, Mike Laro, he said it a million times. This is what happens. Look at the Dodgers and the Braves last year.
Right.
Two very dominant teams. Look at the Mets.
Even the Mets.
The Mets.
Yeah.
They up until the end, and the Braves kind of surpassed them. They were a dominant team, 12, 15 games above the ahead of everybody else through the whole year, and all S to bed real quick, real fast, and then.
Now we're going to start censoring ourselves.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm calmed down a little bit.
Sorry.
But look at the NLCS. You got two teams who got in there barely.
Yes.
And that's
the
it.
Phillies will take October. When you look back at
that's the new shirt, by the way.
Take October.
Yeah, you
if
like
you
it?
look, I do like it.
Okay,
I do like it because it's
I'll
not
have to go grab some tomorrow.
because it's not saying like, hey, just go out there and be happy that we're here. They're saying no, take October because if you take October, you're obviously playing into the World Series in the beginning of November.
Yeah.
So I like it being a whole statement of the playoffs and not just a series thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you look back on the dominance, the errors of dominance for the Phillies team.
Mhm.
I mean, you look at the 80s with the Schmitz and the Carlton and Pete Rose and, all the guys. And then you look at, what was really in our prime of going to games and just being able to go out and do whatever we want, go to the bars to watch, that 5-6 years of the Howard and Utley, Ruiz, Rollins, and now you look at 10 years, 12 years later, whatever it is, and you look at this Phillies paper. I'm sorry, you look at this Phillies team and you look at their roster on paper, and you have Bryce Harper and Trey Turner and Castellanos and Schwarber, and then you have the young guys who are really really proving themselves in Bohm and Stott and Pache at the plate right now, Brandon Marsh, and it's just like I'm so excited that we have another era of baseball from the Phillies going forward, like we had in our prime in the 2007 to 11, and then for our fathers back in the 80s and stuff like that. Like this is this is really like when we start getting our kids into the Phillies, like we were getting into the Phillies from our parents in '93.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this is just it's so cool to be back in this time period again, this time frame. This is what we're watching, and now how the roles are reversed, and we're starting to see it through our kids' eyes. But we're still out there enjoying it just as much as we always had.
And I think again, just like I was saying, being infectious. It's infectious.
Yes.
My 8-year-old is definitely more into sports.
The
And
bandwagoners can jump on. I'm okay.
jump on it. Listen, why not? It's if the pool is fun and you have a spot to jump into it, I would too, right?
Absolutely. Cannonball.
Yeah, like just dive in.
I don't know why I sung that.
Yeah, I don't know, but we'll let you slide. But at the same time, I'm don't sit there and I'm okay with bandwagon. Since you brought it up, I'm okay with coming on board.
Sure.
There's a lot of people who said, I really don't pay attention to the Phillies until the end of the last the last run.
Yeah.
Just don't tell me you've been there the whole time. That's all. Don't lie about it. That'll be my one. That's my one pet peeve.
Yeah. I mean, and I get it per se to a point. Like it is 162 games. It's it's basically an all week thing. outside of a day or two here and there during the week. So I mean, it takes dedication. It takes a real passion for this stuff to really just be locked in
Yeah,
for a majority. Listen, I'm telling you right now, I have not seen all 162 games, even though we're not at that point yet.
yeah,
Like I'm sure I've missed off the top of my head at least a handful.
yeah,
Probably more with family stuff going on.
yeah, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I'll tell you right now, though, being able to watch games like on your phone,
Oh, it's
having them
huge.
wherever you want, is huge. Um, uh, the apps where you can listen to the radio, put a little Bluetooth head, get a little one in your ear, and you can like listen to stuff. I'll be honest with you, I coach football. There's been plenty of times with the game's on, and I had a little earpiece in. And everybody's like, "Are you listening to something?" I'm like, "No, yes." Like, yeah. I mean, I can't. It, being a baseball like a diehard baseball fan, it's dedication. It's got to be one of the like I said, 162 games, and that's the other thing is to watch all that. And I was saying to the guy who was telling me, that the celebrating was maybe too much or unnecessary because the other,
Can you
you know,
give names?
I give it. I'll call him out right now. Al Thompson.
Oh, okay.
I said I was producing a show with him today, and he just said he thought it was a little much that they do it at every level and how crazy they get with it. And me and Matt Santelari was on the show with him, like just lambasted him. I mean, just like, sorry, dude, 162 games, you fight
It's
for it.
real fuddy duddy.
Like, could you imagine? Like, look at now, like teams that are as bad. Like Pittsburgh started off well, but they fell off a while ago. But look if you're a Cubs fan. Cubs, they were out for a while. Everybody's asking they're going to sell at the
Right.
deadline. Everybody's going to come like vultures and pick them apart, right? But then now they make the surge. But what about they miss it now? Like, what
That
about
would be something.
they missed that playoff game? Like Miami overcome. Look at Miami. They've been in and out, looking out, looking in, looking out, looking in. Like, like there's a reason why because that could be you. That's why you celebrate these moments.
Yeah.
And like you just said, Joe, we went on a postseason drought for a very long time. What was it, like 12 years?
12 years. Yeah.
12 years. And we haven't been able to do that or see that. Like you said, how old were we? We were in our mid to late 20s when it all went down. Now we're like, we haven't had that for a while, and we're remembering those things. And then, like you're saying, I want to be able to have now. Our kids are young, so you're not going to go party and get hammered and all that.
Well,
kind of
yeah.
stuff. But like to remember those memories, like the '93 Phillies were for us. You know, I mean, like this is something that they could have, and like I was able to take my older kids who are now 22 and 23s to the '08 the parade.
Right. Yeah.
So like that was cool. That's something that's going to stick with him. My son still talks about it to this day. He was mad when he was younger because they kind of missed a lot of trick or treating. Dude, I went to Walmart and bought like a ton of candy and just said, "Here you go. I'm sorry.
Yeah, of
I
course.
know the whole part of it is to go out and trick or treat, but you guys just don't understand." But now he thanks me that I did do that. So like, yeah, it's all about the moment. Yeah, I'll say Al Thompson football stories. I'll call him out. He said it live on the air, so it wasn't like I'm telling somebody that he didn't say it. He said by ourselves. But no, I had to land base him.
Yeah, we took my daughter to her first game this past Saturday. It was the game that they did they push? No, they didn't push it back. They didn't know what the hell they were going to do. It started on time at 4:05. A great time. A whole bunch of us down there. My son was there as well. I think
I was surprised. That's a tough game for the kids.
Yeah,
they did. Windy and cold it got.
They did phenomenal, and we had a total of 5 kids with us.
Oh, okay.
So it was 5. Yeah, it was 5 kids. Me, my wife, our 2 friends who we have our season tickets with, and then their sister and brother. So it was a whole group of us, and we were in the Miller Lite Liberty area out there in like 142, right behind Schwarber.
Yeah.
So we were underneath with the kids, and it was fine. Food and beer there. We had everything we needed.
That's why Joe was okay with it. There was plenty of beer there.
We had everything.
Numb them to the
All right, moving on. But yeah, my son and daughter were there. My daughter's first game. My son's, I want to say 4th or 5th total. It was his second this season, and the way I compare it is like my son. The other games, the other games other than the 2 we had him at this year, he wanted nothing to do with it.
Sure,
scream, cry, and just wanted to walk around. Blah blah blah. The 2 games he went to this year, sat down, watched, and I was so proud of him.
Yeah,
just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, at one point, my 8-year-old turned to me and goes, well, like I'm like, all right, come on, we'll take you to get your water ice or whatever you wanted at the time. He goes, no, 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 can we do it in the next inning? I want to watch this. I'm like, okay, tear the eye. I'm like, all
Yeah.
right, son,
Sorry, I got a cough, so I'm
it's all right, man.
trying to keep the throat liquidated.
So real quick, guys, remind you that a lot of sporting events coming up, and as you can see on the bottom of the screen here, one of the big Philly ones is the Phillies going to London next year, June 6th to the 12th. The Phillies will be in London taking on the Mets, and you can be too. You can go to phillysportstrips.com right now, put down your deposit, and I mean, if you can go. Like London's a cool
It's
place.
probably a trip of a lifetime.
And I mean, this is like, I mean, the Eagles have been there a couple times now, or one time.
One time.
One time, I think they're going back next year, something like what it is. But the Eagles have been there, and I know people said it was like just an amazing time. There's a lot of Philly fans in. There's like a Philly bar in London or
Nice.
around the London area. So check it out, phillysportstrips.com. But also, they have an upcoming trip to Washington for the October 29th game in Washington. Bus trip. We've done it. It's amazing. Great time, great price, great food, great drinks, amazing time. Jason Avant, Hollis Thomas will be at this one. But also the upcoming Washington game, they will have a tailgate at Live Casino right outside. Been there a bunch of times. Talk about making it easier in your life. All the money you would spend, all the time you would spend loading up the car, grills, ice, beer, lugging things around, cleaning up. You don't have to worry about all. You get high end food, high end drinks, and hang out with a bunch of Eagles fans, and you never know who else is going to pop by there. Go to phillysporttrips.com. Either sign up for one of the trips or one of the amazing tailgates. I know this one I'll be looking forward to. This is one when they play the Dolphins, and everybody will be decked out in their Kelly Green, my friend.
That's right.
So check out phillysporttrips.com. We will be talking about guys. We will. I know some people are tuning in because they're like, "Hey guys, we're going to talk about the Eagles." We're going to talk Eagles. Trust me, we're going to get there in a minute. Actually, right now, game is 7-6. Phillies are up, top of the eighth. I don't want to jinx them, but like Britton Covey has been.
Dylan Covey.
Dylan, I keep doing.
Yeah,
Covey,
of course.
Dylan Covey.
We'll be mentioning them.
Yeah, he has been. Yeah, two guys, two Coveys.
Two Coveys.
We thought they were out the door.
Yeah, well.
But Dylan. I wanted him. I mean, I know you said it. I know I've said it a dozen times. Why is this guy still in the game? He has had a really good September, and it's all about runs. Like everybody kind of bangs on Aaron Nola, which he's earned it a little bit. I mean, he hasn't been the worst. He hasn't been the worst pitcher, but but he hasn't been great. And he hasn't been living up to what we know he can do. But Covey's both of them, but this one, Dylan has had an amazing turnaround. Not amazing, but a really good turnaround.
He's solid.
And when the bullpen has been in flux for what we have. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't even know if Sir Anthony's still around. Like,
I don't know what happened with him.
He is a guy who literally fell off the map. But Alvarado seems locked in, back to his old way.
Yeah.
Kimbrel,
it's giving up some home runs, man.
I mean, think about it. They already kind of did it without doing it. They switched him. He's in the eighth hole now.
Well, I heard a bit of an explanation for that,
okay.
And it seems like it's a trend throughout the MLB. Is eighth and ninth inning, depending on the lineup of the other team. Like say like the lineup of the other team, you're going to have 2, 3, 4. The big meat, the big the headliners of the lineup. If they're going to be in the eighth inning, they throw the closer out there to go out there and pitch against the better players, and then have the cleanup service come out for the ninth inning.
I can see.
I was curious about that too, and then they did say it on one of the broadcasts, and I was like, oh, all right, well that makes sense.
I still think it was kind of a cop.
It could be. It absolutely could be.
He hasn't been as locked down as he was for most of the year.
It absolutely could be a cop out.
Yeah, but I think he will come in huge the postseason.
He's got experience, man.
He's got the experience. Not that Alvarado and them doing it, but
he's got like 22 violations on the season.
He's got the most in Major League Baseball, I believe.
And like when they asked about it, he just goes, "Well, I'd rather give him a ball than give him a pitch that I didn't want to throw." And I was like, "All right, all right, I'll give it to you."
I mean, it's a baller move.
It is, and you can't be like, "Oh, well, it hasn't worked, so stop giving up violations." Like, no, he was one of the best closers in the game for a stretch of time, going through the season.
Sure. Before we move on to the Eagles, a couple of Phillies points I do want to touch on before we move to that area.
Jake Cave's dyed beard.
Okay,
Go.
that's the awesome. There you go. But talking about the youngsters, youth movement has been huge for us, Joe. I give you a lot of credit because you're the one calling this for the last 2 years, and you've been saying we have plenty of youth movement down in the
Yeah,
farm when everybody thought there wasn't any. And we're seeing it now. That's a JK's young, but you see he's
sure.
coming clutch when he's needed to be. But Johan Rojas has I've been a huge fan. I know you and Freddie and a lot of the other guys on the network have been pounding their chest on how much they like him because just watching him play defense. When a guy's fun to watch play outfield defense, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it right now, even though it's not the best batting order, this outfield defense between Cave, Rojas, and Pache, it's pretty damn good.
Yeah, and
You pretty much can't hit a ball anywhere that's not out of the park or out of a home run where they ain't gonna get it.
yeah, and think of it. Pache was on second yesterday in extras, and Rojas knocked him in. Who, really stepped up in the relief role when they needed him yesterday? Hoffman.
Yeah,
Hoffman and Rojas got minor league awards yesterday.
that's what
Like,
I'm
and I,
saying.
yeah, and I'm not even talking like. Of course, we're talking about Bohm and Stott and Marsh, but these guys have been in the majors
Yeah.
for a period of time now.
Now, that was a question I didn't look up. So that what Joe is talking about is the Paul Owens
Yes.
Award, which each organization gives their top pitcher and their top player. It's
In
not a
fact, I don't
pitcher.
even think it was Hoffman. I think it was
No, it was
Kirkering.
Kirkering and
Yeah,
Rojas.
yeah,
Which I have to admit that has to be tough because and my question was like, how much time did you spend in the minor leagues? Because Johan's been up here since what, July, June, July?
uh, yeah, probably.
I mean,
I mean, it was when Pache got hurt again
yeah, and
for the second
and
time.
remember, yeah, because I remember it was that series. I think they're playing right after the who would they play right after the break?
Cubs.
Cup. Is it the Cubs? I forget, but whatever.
I want to say it was the Cubs.
But like he played. Remember, he played one game. Had a big. It was his first time. He had a big.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Major
I
league
think
hit
he had
and
a
all
home
that.
run.
Yeah, I don't know. If it was the first, but he had a major league hit first, and then he made that amazing catch where he bounced off the wall. He caught the ball at the wall and then
Yeah,
threw the guy out. And then he didn't play for like 5 games. So he's been up here for. It's like, do you have to be like in the minors for half the season? Like, I don't know how that works because
I really don't know,
Weston Wilson is killing it down there
dude.
right now. He's like
He's a
setting
big
records.
dude.
He is setting
He's a
records.
big dude, and he's setting stolen base records.
Stolen base records. The hit record, he has like a 429 average. It's like some crazy
Oh,
number.
it's unbelievable.
Yeah, like, and then Rojas, I mean, because he's been pretty steady Eddie up here. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, he
he's batting a lot better than I expected him to.
again, not making the comparison, but for one part, Jalen Hurts. Guy just doesn't seem like the time. It's too moment's too big for him.
Sure.
I see a lot of that in Rojas. Like the time he's made a couple flubs. I think it was that game when I was in the press box.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and the ball went right over his head. And I
Yep.
remember I went down and Topper said like that's one of the hardest plays
Yeah.
for a center
He
fielder
said
to make.
a line drive. Yeah,
When
line
it goes
drive right
over
at
the
you.
head, it's hard to judge. And
It's hard to the depth. Your
he's only
depth
made like what 2
perception is
errors
off.
out there since being up in the majors. So I mean, yeah, well deserved. Congratulations to Kirkering and Rojas. But there is a lot to be like Weston Wilson, man. I would love
Yeah.
to see what he becomes.
And even even though I had the two players mixed up, I do want to say something about Hoffman and I don't know if this is like public knowledge. I know that they talk about it, or at least they have talked about it on the broadcast. But I mean, how this guy got his start, right? Like if Bryce Harper isn't really like the quote unquote GM of this team, I don't know what the hell he is because he did not want a rehab assignment. All he wanted to do was batting practice or whatever they're going to rehab practice, whatever. And Hoffman was out there throwing heat. And like he said, acting like it was a World Series game. And Bryce turns and he's like, why isn't this guy on our roster pitching?
Yeah.
And then it was like 5 days later, he was signed to the active roster.
Yeah.
Like that's amazing.
It's funny. Like, I mean, but think about it. It makes sense. Like, here's a guy who has to throw to Bryce Harper. And maybe even if Bryce Harper isn't doing great, if this guy is not backing down and he is painting the strike zone
Yeah.
with I mean, he was throwing 100.
If you're striking
not
out Bryce
Hoffman,
Harper,
that's Kirkering I'm thinking of.
if you're right,
but
Hoffman. If you're striking out Bryce Harper in any capacity, I mean that tells you something.
yeah, absolutely. Guys, I want to switch gears here because we are, about halfway through, a little bit more halfway through the show here. And we're going to talk Eagles. We got to talk Eagles. We'll
Gotta talk
keep you up to
Eagles.
date on the Phillies game. They're going, I think, at the top of the bottom of the eighth right now, up 7-6. And
Stubbsy.
Stubbs is up with 2 outs. Who, like I said earlier, had the big 3-run home run that got him within 1 run, and of course, since then have been on a roll. But your Philadelphia Eagles, Joe,
Yes.
are 3-0. Can people start being happy about it? Can you please? Is it okay now?
It's the same
What-
people who think that the Phillies shouldn't be celebrating.
But did that Tampa Bay win should have put a good portion of the doubters and make them kind of come back over?
You would think. I know the 2 interceptions is not a good look.
I don't blame, at least for one of them, I can't blame Jalen.
Sure.
That was a perfectly thrown ball, perfectly positioned. There's only one. You ever see like those stat commercials where like, oh, there's an 8% chance that you can catch that ball?
Yeah.
I mean, I think there was less than 8% chance that guy could defend that ball the way he did.
I
Get
think.
his feet in, all that stuff. That was real difficult.
Oh yeah.
He just, I mean, maybe he let his eyes go because the play had to develop and he saw it coming, and he took a chance at it, and it could have went either way. But I can't blame Jalen Hurts for at least that one turnover.
Yeah, and when you look at the score of the game, it doesn't do justice just to how dominating it was on the defensive side of the ball for the Eagles. That might have been one of the best defensive outings from the Eagles I've seen, if not ever, in a very, very long time. They had, of course, the safety, which, I mean, when do they ever get one of them? Safety, the fumble, the interception by Reed Blankenship. I mean, they did Britton Covey on special teams. I mean,
Yeah,
they did great. It was a really, really good game, and it showed that both sides of the ball. Jalen Hurts looked like a much better passer, in my opinion, on that game. AJ Brown had 131. I mean, what else do you want him to do? I mean, I know he had 2 interceptions. One of them really wasn't his fault. I think people need to. I think we say this every time. People need to relax.
Like when we're down 0-3, like there's a lot of teams that are 0-3 right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a lot. I mean, there is way too many than I would expect right now.
He kind of got Kirk Cousins, really being an MVP-esque quarterback out there, and they're 0-3.
Yeah. And they got one of the top, if not the top, wide receiver in the game.
100%.
But it just goes to show you how having a consistent, all-around good team makes a difference, and a good leader.
I do want to say something.
Shoot.
Al, you so graciously got me a DeAndre Swift signed jersey.
And since then, he's been doing
really well. Since then,
since
then, something great is happening.
Yeah.
Number 2 rusher in the league.
And they had one touch. One touch in week 1. So technically, he's beating everybody out and with 1 week less played than everybody else. Or at least chance played.
He's fun to watch, man.
Do you think, and before we get in, because I have some points we're going to touch on, but do you think there is some thought process to, you might see a little bit more Rashad Penny this week versus, and maybe even Boston Scott, because he's off the protocol this week. He actually fully practiced today. I have the depth chart in front of me right now.
See, I keep, in my own head, I keep going back and forth with this because last week, I mean, DeAndre Swift goes off for another 130 yards.
Thanks, Mike. I agree with you.
Gainwell, Gainwell did have a good amount of touches in that game. But, of course, DeAndre Swift was making much more of the opportunity than Gainwell was. And I kind of knew it was going to be more 50-50 between those two because Penny hasn't been involved at all, and Boston Scott was out on concussion protocol. I don't know what to do going forward because as much as I wanted to see DeAndre Swift later in that game, I'm going, he's already put up 130. Let Gainwell get some work in. The score is at hand for the Eagles. Keep DeAndre Swift healthy. But now going back into next week, if you have all 4 guys active and healthy, I'm going to be sitting there going, why aren't you giving DeAndre Swift the ball? You know what I mean? Like, instead of like, hey, remember, you got to keep this guy healthy, do rotation, blah, 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 do your Eagle thing. I'm going to be sitting there pounding the table saying, give DeAndre Swift the ball. So it's a very, back and forth devil's advocate with me.
But knowing his injury history.
Sure.
And toting the ball 20 to 25 times a game could be a long season on him.
I absolutely agree, but
I would just like to see
I
this.
mean, he had 4 carries for 36 yards his first 4
And
attempts
I
the
and I
other
and
night.
I subscribe to part of it. If you did and because we're going to talk about this in a minute, the O line and D line.
They were parting the sea.
Oh my God, like Joe, we could have probably got 5+ yards every time on that. That's how wide open it was,
Yes,
easily.
100%.
And
Yep.
but at the same time, and I give you the credit because and you put this out there, and I've heard it. I can honestly say we heard it on
You don't have
EOP.
to give me the credit. It's a we thing.
No. But we heard it on EOP first before, and I hear a lot of people say it. Other shows I've watched, other national shows that I watch, people that I've talked to, they keep comparing DeAndre Swift to one person, and you've already done it, and I heard it from you way before them. Who's that guy? Who's
Le'Veon Bell?
Le'Veon Bell? I mean that quiet patience I call it, like
Yeah.
just it's almost like the movie where the guy's like a real like the Flash or something, where he's moving so fast it looks like everybody else
Right,
isn't
yeah.
moving or moving super slow. And that's what he does. He can, and that was what makes it even probably easier for these guys to block. Um, a lot of people were still like poo pooing Cam Jurgens. He was a beast this
Yeah,
week,
he was great.
absolute beast this week. And like look at they didn't play against a bunch of nobodies.
Not at
Kalijah
all.
Cansey, Vita Vey, all these guys like all you hear about is Vita Vey is one of the best nose tackles in the league, and he's and honestly just a larger man than Jason Kelsey.
Right, yeah.
He
They
got
got they
he
got
got he
probably one
got
of the best
he
linebacker
he
cores
got
in the
beat
game too.
maybe twice, but I think they just let him go that way because that
Right,
was
yeah,
the
yeah.
play was going the
It
other
was
way.
going the other way, yeah. Yeah, I mean, look at their linebackers. I
Ooh,
mean, it's pretty nasty.
is that a little early, Mike Laro? Is that a little early? I mean, it's a different position.
People are Seth Joyner even compared him
I,
Carter to
the
Jalen or
man
Jerome Brown.
throws monsters around like toy cars. Like that's
On
what he
that,
does.
did you see the hit he put on that forced fumble? I mean, my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah. No, I mean yeah, and like he came out of nowhere. Like he got to go from behind.
Yeah.
When he went and tackled him and like went after him and brought his fist and punched the ball right out. Like when you slow that down and they kind of blow it up, it's technique.
Yeah.
That's not just, oh, I got lucky or I'm a big man. I threw him to the ground and it bounced out of his hands. Like that was technique. And for a guy, we always say this. We talk about Mailata. We talk about Jordan Davis. And by the way, a lot of people are like, is Jordan Davis going to be anything as good as they put him out to be? Yes. By
Yeah.
the way, yes, he is that good.
The answer's
And,
yes.
and Jalen Carter's gone here. I'm going to join the party. Like it's an absolute party right now.
He slimmed down. He looks more athletic. He looks healthy. He looks good.
Man beast. I call him a manster, half man, half monster, manster. Um, and can I add in? I said this to somebody earlier. I said Fletcher Cox. Let's talk about him for playing. Like Brandon Graham last year had
Mhm.
one of the best seasons of his entire life, outside, of course, the Super Bowl season, but statistically the best season ever. And because they were giving him fresh legs, and he had guys to kind of siphon in and all that fun stuff. Listen, 2021, we thought Fletcher Cox was gone after that year.
100%.
Remember the Vegas game?
Oh, yeah.
He was lambasting Jonathan Gannon.
Soto gets it done.
Soto closes it out. Phillies win. They are one win away from 90. Um, this team, I can't say enough about it.
I know. I love it.
But guys, stay tuned because when we're done, Matty B's just getting started, bringing you the Fighting's final. I got a little something to talk about Matty B at the end before we go, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But like Fletcher Cox has been just outstanding. I mean, there was two big. The Patriots game could have been a different game if he didn't do two big plays in a row.
Sure.
He is playing like somebody found the fountain of youth, and he did, but it's not his fountain of youth. He's just playing right next to it. Into like
Yeah.
when Fletcher Cox looks like the little guy in the group, you know it's a good day. You know you got some big boys there, but those guys are so fast. They're just big guys who are just tossing
For their
They are
size,
so
my God.
fast. It's not even funny, but Fletcher Cox, because you know what? That's the thing is people were double teaming Fletch. That's all they could do because that was the guy they had to. They got to double team him, slow him down. He was getting older. Now since he's like your number one or number two guy you're worried about, you're just like you can't stop him. And it's just he's got to go. He could go another year. It's a possibility he could go another year.
Yeah, I don't know. See, I think because of all those things you're saying, I look at it, I look at him and I look at Jason Kelsey
Mhm.
in a very similar situation. Kelsey came back, obviously Cox came back. I think Cox is right on that fine line of saying if he's going to hang it up or not, and he gets so close last season, and you're like, all right. I mean, it's the same roster, same head coach returning. I mean, they have a real chance of going back to at least having a deep run into the playoffs at the least.
Yeah.
And I think Fletcher has really taken that step forward and become a mentor, a teacher
Yeah.
to these younger guys. And I think he is maybe this, I don't want to overstate this on his mental or work ethic or whatever it is. But maybe he's giving just that little bit much more because he knows that this could be his last season.
Yeah.
And he does want to go out on top with the team he's been with his entire career. And he does want to be looked at as the mentor for Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter and all these young, even a Milton Williams who is still been playing really well and developing. Maybe Fletcher Cox wants to be looked at as that top Eagles defensive tackle of all time.
Well, you said kind of like Bryce Harper has become like this GM. You know,
Yeah.
Dombrowski just puts his feet up and like, hey Bryce, what do you think? Stubbs is getting the water/candy bath from Stoughton Marsh.
Well deserved.
Yeah, well deserved. But the guy who said that the celebration's a little crazy is also a guy who's down at the Eagles practices and games,
Right.
and he literally, Al Thompson said, the defensive coordinators are looking at him and saying, "What do you want to do next? What do you think about this?" Like
That's
they're
great.
asking him, and I think he's almost got like you said, I think he's taken that mentor role, and he is just rolling with it.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's also given him a chance to kind of rejuvenate maybe of his love for the game because if anybody's watched the Kelsey,
It's
documentary,
fantastic.
it's fantastic. And like he does talk about possibly, hanging up and for a couple of years, like he's been talking about it. And part of it's because of the pain.
Yeah.
Like even now, like even when they're off season, he's still sore and has to get up and down and on anti-inflammatory medications constantly just to get around. And he knows he's got little kids and all that. And maybe Fletcher, is thinking the same thing. But the fact that they can use him less, like Brandon, because we could have said the same thing about Brandon Graham last year going into this year. Maybe part of it's because they tripped the finish line. They think we could get to
Yeah.
that promised land.
I think that's huge for a lot of these vets.
Yeah. A couple pieces of information I want to talk about, but real quick before we get into that, I want to mention check out David R. Cherry because he went to get her to work, personal injury, motor vehicle accidents, life changing, life altering
A parade
situations.
going down the city hall.
Yeah, you never know. But Cherry Firm is the place you go. David R. Cherry is the man. 610-565-0300. CherryInjuryLaw.com. Or again, call that number 610-565-0300 and let Dave Cherry fight for your rights. All right, so let's get back to it for a moment here. The all right, I kind of get off track when I do my commercials. I kind of lose where I was going. But what was I saying? I'm an idiot.
Dallas got it.
Was I saying Dallas?
No.
No, I didn't say Dallas Scott. But a lot of people complain about Dallas Scott. Or you wanted to? I know where I wanted to go. We got that's actually on my list. But you posted earlier something that's kind of floating around Reddit. We all
Yeah.
talk about the tush push.
Yeah.
But because the Eagles have been so dominant with said tush push, they they believe they should call it something else.
Mhm.
Joe,
Al, that would be the brotherly shove.
the brotherly shove. What are your thoughts on the brotherly shove?
I think it's fun. I don't think it's really going to catch on. I mean, I'm all for it catching on. I would love it. Uh, I think it's better than tush push.
Okay.
I think it's ridiculous that other teams and coaches, GMs, owners, whatever, that they're really like trying to like draw up a campaign to get this banned. We have people in the media saying that it's a rugby like play, which is first off, when has there ever been a rule that you can't push a player?
So should we get rid of the flea flicker because it's crazy?
Right.
I mean, you can't. Now I know, and this is from like Pee Wee football and up. They have a rule about players getting behind the player and pushing them downfield further because somebody can get hurt.
Sure.
But if there's no room in front of you, you got a line of dudes in front of you, a line of monster-sized men, and what are you supposed to do? Just stop and get tackled?
Right, and I know this might actually, counter what we've been saying, but, like, Jalen Hurts, he can bench press and I'm sorry, he can squat, like, 700 pounds. Like, do you really think, like, he needs all, like, the full momentum of a push to get him through? Like, I honestly think that he would get through it regardless. I think it's just a little added bonus to make sure he gets through, and you know why they're doing it? Because it's legal. They're allowed to do it. Why not do it if you are allowed to do it and it guarantees it?
Yeah, and
92% of the time.
how many times have we said
All works all the
any
time.
team should be able to get a couple yards against somebody?
Right.
So when you only have a couple yards to get, what's wrong with it? You know why? It's because they can't stop it.
It's because they can't stop it.
And you want here's
And
my
they
thing is
can't do it as well as the
well,
Eagles.
that's my point is it's not because, oh, it's an illegal play and people it gives them an advantage. You know what gives them advantage? A stout O line.
Yeah.
That's what gives them advantage. Having a quarterback with massive muscular thighs that can break trees with it. That's what gives them advantage. It isn't the fact that oh, it's a trick play and you can't beat it. No, it's you got to learn to beat it. You got to stack the box. Now we saw this.
Right. Hold on. Yeah, and you know how like we were talking about like players who go off and then they start to get figured out and teams start to to draw up a game plan around said person. Why is that any different than this?
Yeah.
You know exactly what the Eagles are going to do on the goal line or at 4th and 1, 4th and 2, depending on how far the two is. You know what they're going to do.
Should you have
Then
running?
game plan for it.
Should you have quarterbacks not be able to run out of the pocket?
Right.
Like guys like
You
Jalen
have to
Hurts who
stay,
are
you have to
faster.
stay in the tackle box.
Yeah, you gotta stay there. Gotta stay there and deal with it. Like, I mean, it's BS.
It's absolute BS.
So,
However, would we be saying it if it was the Cowboys doing it? I don't know. Maybe.
um, uh, good question, Joe. I mean, I'm trying to think about that. Like, I'd probably complain about it a little bit, but no, man, beat it. If it's not,
I don't think it was going to be. Sorry. Go ahead.
no. If it's not illegal, go for it. I don't see why not. You just gotta learn to beat it.
Yeah, I don't know if it was it a fake kneel down. I know the exact play he's talking about, Mike. And he definitely did trip and then try and get back up in it. But
He
I don't
tripped
know.
over. He tripped
Was
over.
it a fake kneel down?
No, it was a tush push, but that was a fake tush push.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, they tried to think he was going to roll out, either pass the ball or run
Yeah.
it himself, but he ended up tripping over somebody's leg, and the scrum came kind of flying out. And I goes the term scrum, which is a total rugby term.
I mean, and you know what? If you're going to lose or use Rashad Penny in any situation, why isn't it goal line? I mean, why aren't they just like if you want to keep Gainwell, DeAndre, and even Jalen Hurts healthy from not going and barreling through these 400-pound defensive linemen, why not just throw Rashad Penny out there?
By the way, the Phillies are 20 games over 500 for the first time since 2011. That
Oh
is a
my
crazy
God,
stat.
it's
Um,
so beautiful.
so that was one thing before we get into because we're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming game. But Joe Buck,
Yeah,
everybody's Philly loves him some Joe Buck. Said the Eagles are the team to beat across the whole league. After seeing a game, now the Broncos are a terrible team, but
I'm gonna bring that up
the
later.
Dolphins are a very good team. The Niners so far have been a good team. Is it? Are you? Do you take that with pride, or do you like? I don't like that. He's gonna put a target on us. Do you agree with that?
Uh, I think regardless, there's a target on us. I mean, number one, we're the Eagles, and people don't like the Eagles. Number two, they're just as good, if not better, than they were last season. And you're looking to have a return trip to the Super Bowl. So they're always going to have a target on their backs.
Yeah.
When it comes to the two other teams that are 3-0, the Dolphins look great. There's no telling.
Speedy team.
Oh my God.
Speedy team.
When it comes to the Niners, like it's funny because like I was thinking of this the other day. Like the Niners are 3-0, the Eagles are 3-0. The only two teams in the NFC that are still undefeated. But yet the next day we're worrying about Week 4, and the Niners are going, we're just as good or better than the Eagles, and they're just talking about the Eagles. We live in the Niners fans and media rent free.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Like they still can't get over
I'm on.
the NFC Championship game. Like it's number one. Again, say this all the gosh darn time. Time to move on. You have another game closer to now than what that game was. And yeah, you're 3-0, we're 3-0. I mean, but we're worried about week 4. We're not worried about whatever week that is. We'll see you that week. We'll game plan that
Yeah,
week.
that's December 3rd.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, come on, God.
yeah, we still got 2 months.
Yeah.
Come down, Bressa.
I
But I'm actually trying to reach out to those radio hosts to see if we can get them for an interview
would love to.
come that time. And I'd actually book it now because you know what? I would hold myself because if the Eagles fell off or the Niners fell
Sure.
off, you know what? Time between your legs, get your ass in here and talk about it. But here's my thing, and I'm not downplaying it. This is not what I'm doing. I want to just make sure this is abundantly clear. But and the Eagles have had a pretty, I want to say, soft start to the season, but kind of ramped up. Like each team's probably.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
think
about
so.
New England and Vikings. You could probably go 1A, 1B of how good or bad the other team is. But you had a team that's very defensive heavy. We were able to kick that one out. You had a team that was very offensive heavy with one of the most prolific wide receivers in the NFL, and Kirk Cousins, who can be when he wants to be a good. I'm not gonna say he's not. He's not good. You know, and you were able to stop that end of it. Now you went up against a Bucks team that has a very formidable defensive line and linebacker crew with a very and all three teams had very defensive sound defensive minded coaches in Todd Bowles and
Yeah.
Bill Belichick, of course, and they were able to overcome that. Now, again, looking at this, the Niners took on the Steelers, who are just not a good team. Kenny Pickett's not a good. I'm just sorry,
Right.
he's not great. They have a good defense, but it's not a good team. The Rams, they beat them by a touchdown. It's a divisional game. Take that for what it is, and they beat the Giants by 18 points. So,
Giants are awful.
just awful. And then they got the Cardinals this weekend.
Ooh.
So to me, I'm just not pounding my chest yet. I'm not one of those guys who are mad about being 3-0,
Right.
but I'm also being realistic.
Of course.
I'm just not going to pound my chest. But the Niners fans think they're just on the. But like you said, they're so far down the field to December 3rd
Yeah.
Eagles matchup. That's all they can think about. All they can think about, and it's funny. 49ers fans are almost as bad as Cowboys fans. Pat, I think at this point, right now, they are probably more delusional than Cowboys fans. I think most Cowboys fans
You know what? Here's a good comparison.
are more real. They know they've been living in the shadow too long, and they're not full of themselves as yet. The Niners are ridiculous. They still
Here's
they
a
still
good
think
comparison,
Brock
though.
Purdy was the difference in that game.
Right, and that's the kind of the route I want to take with this is the Dak Prescott versus the Brock Purdy aspect of it, because like we saw, like somebody who is such a diehard or self-proclaimed, I guess, I don't even know what it is at this point. Skip Bayless, with these Twitter posts saying that you can't trust Dak, and there he is again, throwing another interception, blah blah blah. Like the Dallas Cowboys fans turn on their team when it's a bad performance from Dak, when the Niners fans are saying, they'd be like, "Oh, well, it's Brock Purdy." You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, okay, the Niners suck again. We're going to turn on Brock Purdy because he's not. It's like, no, he's Brock Purdy, and should we even be expecting that much out of him?
Pat saying, I know a lot of people from Dallas. They're realistic, good fans, not annoying. It's the cockroaches throughout the country who root for them and who are terrible. Pat, I agree with you. I've met a lot of
Dallas is stupid, dude.
Yeah, but I'm a lot of Dallas-based Dallas fans. If you go to Dallas, Joe, if you go down to Dallas and you meet people, it's
I'm sure
they're not yelling and screaming and hollering at us. They
I can't get mad at them. They're from there. Like, of
no,
course
but
they're
I'm
big
just saying
fans.
they're not annoying. They're
Yeah.
just it's like listen, you listen to any
'cause they're
sports radio
realistic.
station, all these
I think
Cowboys
Pat just
fans.
said that.
Yeah, any Cowboys fans these Cowboys fans calling in real quiet this week. And let's talk about that. They lost to the Cardinals. Was Jonathan Gannon giving us a mulligan or makeup
I'll
for the
be honest.
BS?
I'm not like it's a very like happy haha moment, but I'm not going to sit here and they should be killing. I'm not going to sit here and like really like bash it, because listen, we gave up our first loss to the Redskins last year.
Yeah.
So I mean, it happens. Like you have to see how the Cowboys are going to bounce back from this. Plus, we do play the Cardinals this season.
Mhm.
So I mean, who knows? I mean, like we could still be undefeated by then. Knock on wood. Hopefully. and you don't know what the hell is going to happen. Josh Dobbs does not look like a bad of a quarterback, to be honest with you.
No.
I don't know. I'm not killing the I'm not yeah, I guess I can say that. I'm not killing the Cowboys for losing because I don't want that karma to come back on us because we've seen our team lose to teams very similar to that who have no expectations going into the season.
So just looking ahead, and if things were to kind of stay the way they are, teams that are, where they're at right now, which we all know can change, but the last 3 games of the season is Giants, Cardinals, Giants.
Okay.
So if we're looking to lock things up by then, it's a good 3 games to
Is
have
it
at the end of the season.
home road?
It is home road. Yep.
Okay.
hmm hmm Because after that, all right. So just I'm not trying. So we have the Commanders this weekend, then it's the Rams.
I mean, hell, if they're undefeated at that point.
I mean, there's a very good chance that this team is going to be 6-0, or actually it would be 7-0, right? Yeah, because they beat the Commanders, which is very plausible.
Yeah.
They have the Rams next week, which is going to be not an easy game, but Rams aren't that good team. They're not that good.
Yeah. I mean, Puka has been playing well. He didn't have that great of a game. Stafford, to me, is like sneaky. And then it will be the first week that Cooper Cup is eligible to come back.
Josh Dobbs is like Baker Mayfield at backup. Don't.
Are you going Sunday?
Probably not.
Probably not.
I thought about going, but probably not.
As of this morning, it looks like I am going.
Are you going?
Yeah.
Because then they have the Jets, and then that's when the media order gets a little hotter because then at the end of October, you got Dolphins, you're in Washington, Dallas, Chiefs, Bills, Niners.
Speaking of the Jets, I'm at the point where I just feel bad for Carson Wentz at this point.
A little bit, man. Trevor Simeon gets a job before Carson Wentz.
And Carson Wentz had to literally call them and say, "Hey, I'm available.
He wrote a letter.
Would you like my services?"
No, that was Colin Kaepernick who wrote the letter. He called.
Right, yeah.
And it was Douglas too who worked there.
Yeah.
It's like we'd rather have Trevor Simeon.
No, thank you.
The Broncos backup quarterback who was good for about 8 seconds.
But I don't even think Trevor Simeon's been in the league for like 2 or 3 seasons.
Has he been out that long? Wow.
If he's been on a team, I have no idea.
Stringer.
And somebody who somebody has who still does fantasy football in like multiple leagues, I haven't even seen Trevor Simeon's name until he was just signed. I mean, what do you like if you're Carson Wentz, do you just have to
He's 31 years old too.
Wow. Do you just sit there in the mirror and you're just like, what happened? Like it's almost like a blessing that he got that big contract from the Eagles because otherwise he would have played out that rookie deal and got nothing.
I would hope by now that he would be smart enough to go, maybe it was me. maybe I am a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
So 2015, he was in Denver. 2016, Denver. 2017, Denver. He was on the Jets in 2019, so he's a guy, he returns there.
Oh, okay. He knows the system.
He only played 1 game that year. And then he was that New Orleans after that and he played
in 20?
In 21. He didn't play in 20. So he was off on 20, I guess maybe the pandemic year. Back in 21, the Saints, he played games played with 6. Then he was on Chicago last year and he played 2 games.
Wow. Yeah, that's all news to me.
Yeah, I didn't know. But yeah, I kind of do. I mean, I was a Carson Wentz fan. I really thought
100%.
And he has the talent and the tools, but he's a head case. Like I would hope when he made that call and he said, "Listen, I know you've dealt with me before. I'm a different man.
Right.
I'm changed. I know I was a problem. I know I had to make changes. I'm willing to try. Give me my opportunity." And if they said that and he still didn't, it was pretty bad. I mean, we heard all the reports. How was it? Darren Sproles. I don't was going to fight him or something because he was rooting against the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
I guess once those stories come out to where it's like, hey, we understand and we appreciate all the work, the blood, the sweat, the tears, everything that you put into that 2017 season to really get us, that momentum going into the offseason, and becoming victorious in the Super Bowl. But you can't go and be like, boo-hoo, I'd rather see our team lose because I'm not the one under center.
Yeah.
That just makes you a really bad teammate and a really awful person. So maybe I don't feel bad for him anymore because now I'm remembering all that crap.
And listen, it's human nature to be like upset that you did all the like pretty much like I said, he drove the bus, but somebody else, he he courted the girl, he took her, he got her corsage, he bought the suit, he bought the tickets, he got to the prom, but somebody else took her into the dance.
He got traded to the Colts. The Colts gave up a number 3 and eventually a number 1 for Carson Wentz, and he lasted a season. They gave up that much draft capital and let him go because they knew he was not the answer. And maybe it was because of his actions in the locker room in the clubhouse there. Like maybe it's the teammates that turn on him. Whatever it is a Carson Wentz problem.
Yeah. No,
I still feel
absolutely
bad for him a little bit,
a
but still,
little bit
the dude's Jo.
a little bit too his path even after here was not the greatest. The Colts owner is a knucklehead.
Yeah,
And he's the kind
that
of
is true.
he's the
Is
kind
true.
of guy who'll fire you because you didn't look you looked at
But
him wrong.
also, with all that said, his picture that he put out in like the Eagles helmet,
It was Eagles
the
helmet,
Colts jersey, and the
culture.
Washington shorts,
Yeah.
that was pretty funny.
I
I
think
give it like
I think Carson Wentz was trying to say, listen,
right,
I'm a bit of a different guy now.
right.
I'm
It's
a
almost like a
different
look at
guy.
me. I can laugh at myself.
Yeah, I made some mistakes. Bring me
Yeah,
back.
yeah. I do love that picture.
Yeah.
All right, I feel bad for him again.
All right. So
I got a heart of gold.
yeah, yeah, a heart of flip flopping gold. Real quick, Hurts is 20 and 21 in this 20 and 1 in his last 21 games.
Remarkable.
Just remarkable. And Swift, Kelsey, can we just stop it with the whole Travis Kelsey? Because I don't maybe because I'm not a Taylor Swift fan. I just didn't know Taylor Swift was such a mega superstar that
You
she
did
is.
not know that?
I did not know that. I didn't.
You did not know that Taylor Swift is a mega superstar.
I didn't get the
You
memo.
live under a rock.
I live under the rock. I'll be honest with you. I just listen. I thought Taylor Swift was a big time, singer.
Her current tour has grossed like $2 billion.
I get that now, but I didn't think she'd be the kind of person who would do a current tour that grossed $200 billion or whatever the number is.
Dude, it's insane.
Yeah.
I'm a Swiftie.
Yeah. This is a good point. When did she become the world's top entertainer? That's a good point, Pat.
I don't know, like 2019.
If I said to you, Joe, last year, like before that, like, do you think Taylor Swift's one of the top 5 entertainers in the world?
If I'm being honest with you, I would say yes, only because I knew.
Okay, thanks. That's what.
No, listen. I swear to God, no. Up until no, no. Up until probably I don't know. Really, ever since like the last concerts that she had here, I was always one of those people who was like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And then I found out she was from the area, and I was like, all right, I get it. Because I like to root for things that are homegrown.
Pink was here. Why isn't she as big as her?
To be honest with you, I kind of wanted to go to that concert.
Yeah, I know a lot of people.
But no, yes, I know Pink is from Doylestown. I mean, I jokingly say with my wife, like she's a guilty pleasure of mine. I'll listen to some songs, but like I like to root for things that are from this area. That, like homegrown, going out and done the big things and made it. I'm a Swiftie now, but I am over all the crap.
So Pat wants to know: is she hot? Yes or no? And I guess he's talking about Taylor Swift, not Pink at this point.
I mean,
I'm not kicking her out.
I'm not saying no to either.
Yeah, but I'm also not sitting there going, "Oh, she's so hot. I would date her in RP."
I thought I think she's better looking now than since I knew that she's from the area.
She's too thin for my taste. I like a little.
I don't care.
I like a little meat on the bone.
I swear to God, dude, it was like a 180 for me. I was like, oh wait, she's from this area. Oh, I love Taylor Swift.
Yeah, well, it was Ross Tucker because I think he is from where's she from? Like Wyomissing, PA or something?
Right outside of like Harrisburg.
Yeah, and I think he's from the area too. Like he always says he's the second famous person to come out of his hometown or something. And they always talk to him, and he always talks about.
I'd say she's hot. Yeah, I don't care. Yeah. Whatever.
Gotta read these before I put them up.
That one could have gotten us in trouble.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, like I like your post you made. Like we sent her in as a mole.
She's undercover, dude.
She's undercover.
She's undercover.
She has nothing to do with Travis. You think after that loss, we're gonna see Kelsey season 2 that Jason set this whole thing up.
Yeah.
It was all mine.
You know what is honest to God truth. After seeing all that stuff, and then like there's pictures of them like driving off. Like I scrolled Twitter, so I saw it. There was a picture of Travis and what the hell? Oh, Taylor in a convertible driving off, and then it's like, Why the convertible? Are they just like? Is this all PR?
Oh,
Is it
absolutely.
is it
It's
all is
absolutely.
it all for like
I think
trolling?
that's what Pat's saying. I don't buy it, and I think that's what I'm saying. I don't.
Yeah, I can see that. I said that to Lex like the next day. I was like, I don't know, man.
They said 400%. By the way, his
Wow,
jersey sales are up 400%.
that's insane. Did you hear Bill Belichick being asked about it?
Oh yeah,
He said, listen, he was like, Travis Kelsey has had a lot of big catches in his career. He just got his biggest one.
yeah. Well, I
And
mean,
that's from Bill Belichick.
how
Bill
many?
Belichick is so dry and
Yeah,
stale. He doesn't joke around.
how
For
many?
him to say something like that is pretty big.
How many times do you think Travis Kelce's going to date a girl that's making more money than him and more internationally known
Oh,
than
never.
him?
Never.
No, I mean that's just what I'm saying. Like it's yeah, it's a the power couple.
I guess.
Yeah, what's their name going to be? Swelsey,
Uh, s- I
Swelsey.
actually I saw one on the interwebs and I can't remember what it was.
Bill is a Swifty. Swelsey or Kelst?
I don't know, but it's funny because
Yeah,
remember the next day I posted something about like, oh, like it was Jason and DeAndre Swift, and it was like, oh, these are the only two Kelsey Swift that I care about seeing each other. And Lex goes, lies.
yeah.
You were all about those two
Yeah.
yesterday. She posted it or she commented on our Facebook page. She's like, you are a liar. That
T
was pretty
Swift,
funny.
the T Swift.
I guess it could be T Swift.
But isn't that what they call her? Isn't there's like a kind
Well,
of like
yeah, but it's Travis and Swift.
yeah? But I'm saying wasn't that her nickname already? Didn't the people call her
It
T
was.
Swift?
It was.
So it's like, all right, you're not Travis. You're not even getting part of the nickname. Just get the first letter. Um, Joe, I mean, I don't want to look past because we do try to be a Wednesday show. We try to look back. We talked
Sure.
about that game. Let's look ahead. We're kind of getting to the end of it here. Eagles versus Commanders. First 1 o'clock game, by the way.
Yeah, it
We
is.
might have a whole Sunday ahead of us after this is done.
Week 4, and we're still getting short weeks,
Yeah,
short or long. Like we've had nothing but short
super
or
long
long.
or short weeks.
Yeah.
Like it's been crazy. Um, are you? You're not looking past this, right?
No, absolutely not.
All right. What is who is your play? Who is I feel like the Eagles are trying to get guys involved more and more.
Yeah.
I don't think it was an accident AJ Brown wasn't targeted as much at one point. I don't think it was an accident that DeAndre Swift wasn't running the ball as much in week one. I think part of it was a little test drive, see how things are going. I am subscribing to the fact that they probably are. You might see a little bit more Rashad Penny, Boston Scott this week.
Hmm.
Maybe even Kenny Gainwell, a little bit more evening out unless they start to get behind.
Yeah. Yeah, this is another game I think that they start off. So I think division games are always just
Sure.
so iffy when it comes to the Eagles. And on top of what I mentioned earlier with the first loss of the season last year to the Commanders, who I mean, Brian Robinson, he's a good running back. Antonio Gibson, they're still waiting for him to really get going. McLaurin, of course, is there. I want to say Sam Howell is still their quarterback. Like I, I don't want to look past it. I just can't see how the Eagles can lose this game. It's at home. It's 1 o'clock. Like I'm looking more as to which player on defense and which player on offense is going to have like a showcase type of day. Like I think Hassan Reddick hasn't gotten going yet. I think he's going to have a really good game. And then, of course, the game we went to in Washington where they did win week 3 last year, Devontae Smith had basically a career game. I can see him getting a lot of touches again, even though I mean his biggest game of the season was I think it was like 151 yards, but only 4 out of 5 catches and for targets. Um, I can see him having like the Eagles to me are going 4-0, but it's a division game, and I think they have to go out there and just continue. Like you have to like what we saw the other night. That defensive wasn't until like mid fourth quarter that the Bucks got 100 total offensive yards.
Yeah.
Like I can see that happening again this week.
I mean, Sam Howell can be a turnover machine,
You can.
and they can come in bunches. That's the thing that you have to remember. And if that's
They're a tough team, but not a good team. Yeah, I agree with that.
yeah, it's a pretty good Commanders you're talking about. I know. That's a good comparison. Yeah, they're not going to be an easy team, but they are not a good team, and they should win on paper if you're going by a better, more talented team. But we all know that's not always the way it works out. But yeah, they could get upset this week in a situation. I'm not. I'm going to tell you right now, not my prediction, but it's not the Eagles losing. Like I just don't see it happening.
The problem is I'm going.
Shit. The X Factor.
It really is.
The mush.
It really is,
Joe,
man.
I'm telling you right now, if they lose, you're getting an Eagles jersey that says mush on the back. I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. I will get it
I mean,
made.
I wasn't going. I wasn't planning on going. The wife got a text from a friend earlier saying, "Hey, I have an extra ticket for free. Do you want it?" And then Lex texted me and she was like, "Hey, I can go with this ticket for free. You should buy one ticket and go as well." And I was like, "Well, you're not gonna twist my arm. I'm in."
Sure.
Yeah,
What
I'm
about the
in.
kids eating this week? Um, and it's funny because the last game I went to was the first game, of course, of
Mm,
the season. And I was got to sit with a certain Mister Urban Fryer. That was pretty cool.
that's
Get
cool.
to hang out with him. And it's funny because I'm watching it. And he's like, when he was the first one to go, that's a turnover when he fumbled into the end zone.
Yeah,
And I'm like, oh my god, he's right because they made that rule what 4 or 5 years ago, right?
something like
It
that.
was something
I was
crazy.
going ballistic on that touchback.
Yeah, like that. It's but they. I have a winning record. You better not ruin it for us, Joe. I can't take this
I
if
will
they
say
lose.
this: I have not. Oh, you know what? I'm not going to say that.
What?
I was going to say I haven't been to a Redskins Eagles game yet, where the Eagles have.
Ah, gotcha. I was actually at the one when Jason Peters got hurt. That was probably the.
Okay.
I was in Washington for two Jason Peter games, two big Jason Peter where he's involved.
Yeah.
He got hurt in that game when he got knocked out in 2017. You remember the Nick Foles game where the bodyguard game they call it,
Sure.
where he like went and started tossing dudes around? I was in that one.
Okay.
That was pretty cool. But I honestly think the defense will be the difference here. It'll be simple in that sense. The Washington Commanders they
They're
can
stingy.
they're stingy, but their O line isn't going to be able to. I mean, there's not going to be many O lines that are going to be able to handle
Yeah.
our defensive line, but their O line is not really anything to write home about. They have good defensive line and linebackers, but their secondary is not going to be able to keep up with Devonta Smith and AJ Brown on the other side. Plus, a little coming out for Zacchaeus.
Yeah. Yeah. That was really nice to see. And by the way, what a pinpoint pass by Jalen Hurts
Yeah,
on that. He had to lead him with that ball.
he sucks. It's the worst.
Jalen sucks.
Jalen Hurts is the
As a
worst.
case. And you know what? It was cool because they were like, there's another St. Joe's boy,
Six
another St. Joe's
times,
prep.
Mike. Man, I hope you're so right on that. 6 times and two interceptions.
He got sacked 11 times when we were
Yeah.
at the game last year.
Well, it wasn't Sam Howell. That was
It's Carson
it was
Wentz.
Carson Wentz. Yeah, Carson Wentz was seeing ghosts for sure. That day, but
I should have said they, not he. You're right.
yeah, but I I'm telling you, they're not. This defensive front could be the difference this whole season. You know, the only other team that's really running the ball as well as us is the Niners.
This is the Niners, yeah.
I want to see Christian McCaffrey run into these guys.
And you know what's wild is Christian McCaffrey only has like 45 yards more rushing than DeAndre Swift, and he played a whole game more than him.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. But like I said, I this secondary is not going to be able to hold up against our wide receiver core. Just, it isn't.
No.
Carson Wentz. Jalen Hurts has gotten better every game. Every
Mhm.
game he's improved. He's made some mistakes. A couple INT, like one INT I give him the blame for. It was either a miscommunication or something because he
Yeah.
threw nowhere near the guy.
And let's not forget that it was raining down there in Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
I mean,
there-
he played
think
well
about
through
it.
the rain again.
Here's a stat: the Eagles have not played one game where there wasn't rain during the game.
Yeah. Jesus.
So, and I wonder what I better check the because we don't have enough rain around here for all we know.
Yeah, really.
But Joe, you want to give a prediction? You want to hold it for later?
I'll give a prediction.
Okay.
Pain.
That's what you're gonna go with. But you're
Yeah.
gonna actually give a prediction.
Yeah, I'll give a prediction. I was way off last week. I said it was going to be a touchdown game, 34-31. I'm not seeing anything close like that this week.
Yeah.
I think they're going to. I mean, again, division game. It's going to be tough. I can see them giving up about 13 points. And I think they're going to score. Wow, that's going to be a big game. 30. Holy crap, that's going to be a big. All right, you know what? 27-13 Birds.
All right, I like it. I think Eric Bieniemy could be a good
He
offense.
is a difference maker. I
He is a
mean,
difference maker from the offense. If anybody could scheme something up, one of the few coaches out there could scheme something up against this stout defense, especially defensive line. Um, Eric Bieniemy could do that. So I'm going to give 17 points to the Commanders, but 31-17.
I almost went with 31. Then I almost went with 34.
Okay.
Back down to 27.
Okay. So 31 it is. Because
Okay.
I have been kind of close, but not really that close. My scores have been a little wonky, but the way it plays out, I've been pretty close on for most of the way. So I will, like I said, he's got one here. Eagles 33, Washington 10.
Okay. Wow.
I'll take that any day of the week. I'll just hit shell shocked by the Bills, who doesn't have our D line. Good point. Sam Howell will be under duress the whole game. Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Pat's pretty close, 28-17 Birds. I mean, really, there's nothing to get. I mean, I think Friday last week, I think like Vikings game, yeah, he picked against them to lit.
He said the first 2 weeks he picked against them.
Did he have him losing in New England?
Yeah.
Okay.
I said to Lex when we were watching the game, I looked at her. I was like, the best dad joke ever, at least to me. I look at her. I was like, man, looks like the Bucks could really use a baker's dozen instead of 11 players on the field, huh? And she
Jesus.
just like gave me like that slow head turn. And was like, get away from me. I thought
You're not going to touch me for a week.
Yeah, I thought it was the funniest thing ever.
It's funny how
And
dad jokes become.
she looked like she wanted to slap the S out of me.
It's just funny how dad jokes become. Like when you get older, you're like, God, you always think back to like the jokes your dad would make.
I'm still genuinely laughing right now about it. I thought it was so damn clever.
And she's not even listening, and she's generally rolling her eyes right now.
She's
like, I don't even know why, but I'm annoyed right now. Real quick, I wanted to plug something. I got a chance to meet this guy last night. His name's Bruce Graham. Joe, and you're actually something. It's funny how everything interconnects here. He is a actor, writer, screenplay writer, the whole 9 yards. From Delaware County area, grew up in Ridley. He's been having a show that has been changing and evolving over the years.
Yes.
It's called The Philly Fan. It's a one-man show, and it's at the Hedgerow Theater, which is in Rose Valley Road in Media. So anybody who's familiar with Delaware County area, it's off of Baltimore Pike, going towards the Pennsylvania Institute of Technology. And you can check them out at hedgerowtheater.org, and that's theater with the RE at the end. Or call them at 610-565-4211. But they starting tonight. Tonight was when it started. Running up to the 15th, they said they might add another week of shows, but there's no guarantee. He does a one-man 85 minutes straight. There's no intermission.
85 minutes? Wow.
No intermission. A couple of the games have $1 hot dog nights the night pre-show. And I said, do whatever to pee. He's drinking at a bar the whole time. I was like, good for you. I guess they have the catheter. But really good dude. Tickets are very inexpensive. Previews and student tickets are $20. Adult tickets are $35 for a local thing. But it has rave reviews from the years before. It talks about lamenting being an Eagles fan. He's at a bar talking to different family members and other Eagles fans, and it's supposed to be really good. I'm actually gonna be checking it out myself. Joe, you're actually going. I didn't know.
Yeah, I'm actually going. Before the show, Al was saying that he wanted to plug this one man show, and he said the name of it, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm going. And he was like, oh really? I was like, yeah. I said, my wife's family, a lot of us are going. We actually, my wife's aunt actually rented out the theater for all of us to go. And coincidentally enough, it's this show, and I said the date, and Al showed me the card with all the dates on it, and the one that we're going to is crossed out for sold out.
Yeah.
And it's because Lex's aunt rented out the theater. So
that's pretty cool.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. It's gonna be really cool. And we'll be doing some posts and doing some advertising for it, leading up to towards its end.
So it's good to see a little guy and do
very
like
cool.
He's done a lot of acting and writing and screenplays and some stuff that he can get off, but it's done this his whole life. And the director, if you might sound familiar to you, his name's Joe Canuso.
Yes.
And he's the guy who also directed
Tommy me.
Tommy and me. And apparently, according to Bruce, during an interview I did with him last night, he was also, I don't know what they call it, but pretty much like he worked with Ray Diddy with
Yeah,
the writing of Tommy because Ray was a writer, but not a screenplay writer.
sure.
So he kind of helped them work some things out and stuff like that. So yeah, we're gonna try to get him on the show too. Maybe talk about it at one point.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, it's just I thought it's cool little things like that. He goes, dude, it's the best thing when you do theater and you see a bunch of guys show up like Flyers jerseys and coolers and be like, yeah, the show's over here, fellas. So that's pretty cool. He's done it at like the media theater and other bigger places too. So I think it's only 100-seat auditorium.
Yeah, I believe so.
So that's pretty. Like I like those intimate settings. I think that's pretty cool
I
when you
think it's
can
gonna
do
be
that.
great.
And I know Ray Diddy will be there one day. I don't know if it's on the schedule or not. It doesn't say.
Yeah, I'll look up. I'll go like on the website. I'll see what
Yeah.
guys are going to be there, what days, and we'll put it all out there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and I think Glenn Mack now. And there's maybe other people, but check it out, guys. I like plugging local stuff like that, and I know Bruce or they call him Graham will appreciate that. Any other parting shots, Joe, before we head out?
Uh, yeah, yeah, okay, yeah. Sean Payton, you POS. I am so happy that you had this outcome this past weekend. You lost by 50 points, you a-hole. It could not have happened to a better person. Sean Payton, oh my God. I mean,
So how do you feel about it, Joe?
shouting it from the rafters. I could not be happier. You deserved every ounce of this.
Well, I mean, the
Dirtbag.
Broncos have been trying to buy their way through between all the money and draft picks that they spent on Russell Wilson, and then they had to go. You buy this. It's like buying this fancy high end car, but the engine sucks in it, so you got to go buy that now
Right.
too. And they spent a first round pick to get him in there. The Broncos, I think, have
Well,
completely
yeah,
hosed
because the
themselves.
Saints still had his rights, correct?
Mm-hmm. So and
Like
now
he's such like, oh my God. Like even like
he's
the
doing.
post
The
game,
Saints are doing with the Broncos what we did to the Saints a year ago.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's oh my God.
It
It's
is.
just
It's pretty crazy.
and he's so smug about it.
Joe, we were this close to having Russell Wilson
I
here.
know.
Just putting it
I'm
out
still on the paint the Sean Payton thing. Like the after thing. Does this guy is he that insane that he doesn't think the media is going to be bringing up the score of the game and how it was historical and how they look like garbage and he has to sit there and have the audacity to be smug and say, "Oh, next question. Oh, I just answered that. No, you didn't. Oh, next question. No,
there.
it's
No, you didn't.
unbelievable. It's unbelievable the gall of this dude.
It's actually not unbelievable in my eyes because he definitely. It's kind of karma in a sense. I mean, how many times did him and Drew Brees just rack up points? Now, a lot of times they had a defense that wasn't that great with the Saints, and they had to just keep racking up the score to keep it within reason. But how many times you rack up 40-plus point games
Sure.
on people, and now was it the first time in like 50 years that they had set, or not 50 years,
It's been a long time.
since
But
like the 80s or something, since somebody had a 70 points or
you know
whatever.
what? One of the best like quotes I heard about that is the record 73,
Mhm.
and they could have scored more points. And they go out and they say, "Oh well, we kind of took the foot off the gas because we didn't want to embarrass them. We didn't we didn't want to break the record because we didn't want to embarrass them.
I'm
It's
sorry.
70 to
It's
20.
the NF friggin' L. You can embarrass somebody like that. You embarrass somebody like
Yeah,
that. Like I'm just saying, you take every point you can get. Points come at a premium. Except for that day, it was a fire sale that day.
yeah,
No, I agree with you, Joe. Like no, but you don't take off. And you know what? What's 7 more points? At least
yeah.
that way you set the record. I mean, you had 70. What's getting 4 more points plus for anything?
I didn't even know the score until it was over. Lex looked at me.
Yeah, I wasn't watching
She
it.
goes, "Did the Dolphins score 70 points?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And
I
then
I actually was checking my fantasy football team, and I'm just like,
yeah,
they're up.
I saw
And I'm
Mostart
like,
had 4 touchdowns. That's all I knew about that game.
and I'm sitting there going, I'm like scrolling up, and I'm like, all the scores for the games are underneath,
Yeah,
and I'm like, did I just say a 70?
it's got to be a typo.
This has got to be wrong, right? Well, obviously, it was not. But also, you can blow your proverbial load on
Yeah.
that one too. We'll find out. But
Uh,
I mean, the Dolphins are a really good team, and they just got speed, speed, speed. That's a matchup for the Eagles. It's gonna be hard, you know.
London games are back for the next 2 weeks, 9:30, and I don't know
But
if they're doing this both weeks.
Jags and
But the London's
Falcons.
like Wembley's like a
I
home
know, but the
stadium for the
Jags and
Jags.
Falcons game,
But
like,
this is what I think is really cool is the NFL is doing it. I think I want to say it's Nickelodeon, but they're
Disney
doing it
Plus.
Disney Plus, and they're doing Toy Story.
Yes.
And I like that for me is gonna be awesome because my kids love Toy Story,
Yes.
and I'm like, all right, well, I get to watch the game, and they get to enjoy it as well.
My wife was watching it, and they kept showing the commercial for it, so it's on Disney Plus, and they dub over like what's happening in the game. It's probably a little delayed.
Sure. Oh yeah,
Yeah, and have like if they're in what's the kid's name?
Andy.
Andy's room, and their toys on a carpet
I'm
playing
interested to see
football.
how they do it.
It is a little interesting to see. Like I will check in on it. But
Yeah,
like
definitely.
I know they did do a Nickelodeon. You're right. In the past, they had a like where kids were announcing the game.
Right. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was a
Yeah.
Nickelodeon broadcast.
And then like yeah, but there they would just play the game and then they would like drop slime on it, and the kids would do the broadcasting.
Yeah.
I think with Nate Burleson too, they needed somebody in there to to wrap everything up.
You really hit the pinnacle of your career
Yeah,
right then and there.
yeah,
But then again, if somebody called the NFL, so we need you to announce a game for me, but it's gonna be on Nickelodeon with a bunch of kids. Like whatever,
bro. Oh yeah,
get me in the door.
absolutely.
Uh,
Last thing for me is Dame Lillard finally traded, and we're still stuck with James Harden.
what is the deal with Toy Story game?
What is the deal?
It's for kids. It's just a way of getting. Because listen,
Or is he saying like why? Why are they doing it?
it's real simple why it's being done. Disney, ESPN is owned by Disney.
Yes.
Disney Plus wants to bring more people in. So there's a way of getting young kids and people wanting to buy Disney Plus. That's the deal.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Like, yeah, you have to have a subscription. Yeah, it's absolutely gonna be
Yeah.
awesome. I didn't know which way he was going with that, but yeah, I'm really looking
Oh,
forward to
I
it.
asked you before you started talking about it. Oh, okay.
I can't even watch all of it because we have my son's races at like 10:30.
Mhm.
So we're not even going to the Eagles game till like later. So we're gonna watch some of the game, do the races, and then right down to the game. But I can't wait to see what they're gonna do with this.
Yeah, no, obviously it be interesting to see. I don't have my kid watch it to see if he even enjoys it at all. I want to see how I wonder if it's like Andy announcing the game. Like
Oh, that'd be cool.
it'd be interesting how they pull that out. But
I think it's gonna be Buzz and Woody.
that'd be well. I don't know. You get guys who can do their voices, or do you get Tom Hanks and
Ah, well.
yeah, that's the problem with. I mean, I guess you can have guys who can do a good impression. I mean, nowadays, right?
Oh yeah. Are they allowed to use AI yet, or are they still on strike?
No, that the writer's strike is
Oh,
over.
is it? Oh, I didn't even know.
They have an agreement. So the way it works is I
Is that as of
read a
today?
story sometime in the last week.
Okay.
The writer's strike was a handshake deal. Then they just have to go through and they call it ratify it, I guess. And then they don't expect too much to start up. They said before the new year,
Okay.
but things that were in the works that stopped will get back on track. So yeah, thank God.
I don't even. If I'm being totally honest, I don't even know what I watch has even been affected by it. A majority of what I watch is just live
It,
sports.
it's not now. It would be like
Oh, the next season of
any
something. I
next
got it.
season or new movie. Like for instance, like
So basically, it's another pandemic period where
so
shows don't come back for a year.
yeah, so the actors couldn't, the actors got into it too because it affected them a little bit, and they also wanted
Oh,
to help
sure.
these people out. But like for instance, they were filming. They had to stop filming the new Deadpool movie, which would be the first under the Marvel.
Okay.
And they couldn't even they couldn't the script was already written, so they could have kept going. But Ryan Reynolds couldn't ad lib because that's considered writing.
Oh,
You
really?
can't even ad lib during a strike,
Oh, wow.
so they had to stop filming.
I know that there was some other people who were just like, screw it. We have our staff to worry about. Like we're going back to work. Like I know we're talking a sports show here, but like Drew Barrymore has an afternoon talk show, and she's like, this has been long enough. Like we're just going back to work, and then people just started bastardizing her. And then like a week later, she's like, all right, you know what? We're just gonna shut down until this thing's done.
Yeah,
Like even people who were trying to go back to work
yeah.
were just canceled because of this strike. It's stupid.
Listen. You could say stupid things. Was it Danny Masterson or whatever the guy who
Yeah,
played Hyde? He got he got
yeah.
evicted. He got
I
convicted.
I thought that popped in my head too, and I was like, I don't know. That's pretty heavy. I don't know if we should bring that
Listen, when he
up.
got convicted, it's terrible. Don't I'm not even.
Yeah,
But like his friends try to back him up, which was
right.
Mila Kunis and
Ashton Kutcher.
Ashton Kutcher, and I think one of the other that 70 shows people tried to do it too. But like they did it before, like he got convicted.
Right, yeah,
So
yeah.
like we never seen that from him. So I guess you could like. Here's my thing is Joe. Like I would never expect that of a lot of my friends.
Sure.
And I would go to bat for a lot of my friends if I never thought that would happen. But if the factual proof came out, I'm sorry, bud.
It was
You know,
actually Leah Remini who went to the LAPD about Danny Masterson.
oh really?
Yeah, because the girls were
The king
reaching
of
out to
Queens.
her. And I don't want to get too like
Yeah,
this is heavy stuff. I don't want to get too
Yeah,
much into it.
a little outside
But
our
yeah, but Leah Remini was the one who, went to the LAPD and told them about Danny Masterson.
did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started reading some of the stories and things like that. And listen, I take everything with a grain of salt, but yeah, it's terrible. It's just terrible. I hate to use that as but yeah, it's like you got to be careful what you do.
Oh,
I guess
my God, yeah.
Other than that, Joe, I'm Big Al.
And I'm Joey Sheard.
And
Did we really just end the show on
yeah,
that?
yes, we did. I felt like it was time to end the show.
All right.
All right, talk to you later.